Hi, I'm Peter. I'm the youngest. And as John mentioned, Dad was living with us for the last 20 months since his stroke, his first stroke. And so we really had a kind of hands-on dealing with him. And so he told us, all of the kindnesses that people in this congregation did for him. And I just want to say thank you to a lot of you for just the blessings that you were to Dad. So I'm just going to take a few minutes to say thank you. First to God for giving me a great father, a great example. Not a perfect man, but a blessing to have as a father. And the last 20 months were not always easy for him or for us, but I think it was the best solution, and I'm glad that he could spend the time with us. So I thank God for the example that he was and always will be for me. And I want to thank Pastor Sam Sutter, who has been so wonderful. I can't think of a time that Dad didn't have dealing with him that Pastor Sam did not let Dad know how loved he was. And he meant it. And so, such a blessing. And he's been so wonderful to work with this last week. The congregation, again, all of you who had Dad over for meals or who sent him things, letters, cards, care packages. He shared with each of those with us as a family, and so I just want you to know that he deeply appreciated all the tokens of affection that were given. I want to say some special thank yous to Henry and Kathy Dollar, who were just so key to us when we moved Dad in with us, helping us get the house, his house, ready to be moved, to be sold. That was such a special time, and we're so thankful for them, for Chuck and Joe Rao, who just really held Dad's heart. They were just so wonderful. And Alice Vanderwerf, who just constantly was there, constantly willing to lend a hand, just such a sweet woman. To some of Dad's friends who are either here or not here, friends make the world a lot easier to go through, and he had some good friends here. Garrett and Tina Schoonmaker, who are in Florida, and I'm sure would be here if they could. Mark and Anita Dollar, Lane and Yanni Gruber. Dad really enjoyed his breakfasts with Mark and Lane. He called them Three Amigos, and he loved those guys, and I'm hoping he's having breakfast with them now. To new Vernon Florist, who employed him for so many years and gave him the opportunity to use his gifts with growing things. I think he loved working there. To Joanne Odinsky. How many people can say they've had the same neighbor for 50 years? And you were so special that you would look after him and he would look after you. What a blessing. So thank you very much. To my friends at Redeemer Reformed Presbyterian Church, our church up in Queensbury that embraced my father when he moved in with us. Thank you. And for Dad's family in the Netherlands, who called and sent cards and letters. Tante Annie, who would call him on a regular basis and send beautiful flowers. To my cousins, who Ed, Martin, Bert, of course Mart's gone to be with the Lord, but you've always been more than cousins to us. We're kind of like super cousins. We had the cousins in Holland that we kind of knew but didn't really, but you guys were much more, and you were always there for us, and so thank you. To my brothers, Ed, John, and Paul, I've always looked up to you guys in different ways for different things, and thank you for never letting us think that we were alone in this. To Jackie. She was so instrumental in that last week with Dad. And I'm so glad that you could be there with him, that he could smile at you and say, I love you. To the grandchildren, don't ever doubt for a minute that he loved you so deeply and that he prayed for you so regularly. To my kids, to Ariana, who's in Israel right now, and to Jared, Julia, and Daniel. It was a big change when Dad moved in with us, and wasn't sure how that was going to play out. Our small house got a lot smaller, but you guys never complained, and you always made him feel welcome. And you just need to know that every day you gave him a gift of opening up your lives to him. And that's such a gift and a treasure for him. Most of all, I want to thank Sharon, my wife. You became his cook and his cleaner, his chauffeur, his events coordinator, his nurse, his shoulder to cry on and ear to listen to. You never once flinched when I said, I think we need to have Dad move in with us. And you said, absolutely, let's do it. And when it was hard for me, you made it easy. So thank you for being his Ruth, the one who came alongside of him. And thank you for doing that. And thank you all for being here.
I have to start by saying thanks to Sharon and Peter. It was Sharon that opened up her home. I mean, it was her decision making that really brought that decision to fruition, and that Dad had a home. And I'd love to have had him live with me, and it wasn't possible. So for you, I'm so grateful. Always will be. I just want to share a few little things about Dad. I mean, they're daughter things, I guess. And I was his daughter, and I guess I was pretty special because of that. But he was a wonderful father, and I just wanted to share a few little stories. This is some lore that I've picked up since I've grown up. But my dad always called me on my birthday, and one year he called, and he left a message on my answering machine because I wasn't able to pick up the phone when he called, and he always said, "Happy birthday, Jackie," and then I would be like, okay, and then he said. And then he would tell the story of my birth. He would say, well, I went to the hospital and I saw the doctor, and the doctor said she did it all by herself. And I got that story like pretty much every year whenever I talked to him on the phone. So, and then from my mother's standpoint, my mother told me that when I was born, of course the fathers couldn't be in the hospital then, when you were born. And he came and he brought a doll for me, and it was naked. and my mother was like, what? Why are you bringing a naked doll? But that's what he did. He brought a naked doll for me. So, that's a neat story. What can I say, But he was just a tremendous earthly father. I mean, when I think about our Father in heaven, Dad was my father here on earth. He was God's representative here on earth for me. And I could talk more about that in a little bit. But he was a good father. He encouraged and advised all of us. He gave us opportunities to speak our mind, at times. I remember that when I was growing up, always the best place to talk to Dad was in the garden. Sometimes he was busy. He was working and he was busy and he had places to go and things to do, and he worked a lot. But, if you really wanted to talk to Dad, you had to go find him in the garden. And I hated doing dishes after supper. Hated doing dishes. And my father was always like, Jackie, you need to go help your mother. He always wanted me to go help my mother in the kitchen. And, I would do it grudgingly, but I couldn't wait to finish. And my mother would say, okay, you don't have to do the pots and pans. You can run out to the garden. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go out to the garden and not just talk to Dad, but, hang out and, before the mosquitoes got me. So anyway, but yeah, that was my time to talk to Dad, was in the garden. You know, he was a good father. He was a good husband. He took really good care of my mother, especially as she got ill. And that's a side of him that I never thought I'd see. And I got to see that, and that's a gift. It's a privilege, you know, the way he took care of my mother. For me, that's a tremendous gift. I'll always have that. He was, you know, he got to be a good cook after my mother passed away. He got to be a better cook than my mother was, you know. And we all, you know, I'm going to sit here and we're all going to talk about it because, you know, we've been talking about it already. My father made these incredible meatballs, which we loved, and Opus chicken. Oh, who could, you know, Opus chicken? You know, he tried to make chicken like he had it in Indonesia, and with peanut sauce and different. I mean, it was good. It was really good. He could cook really well, and he loved food, as we all know. He loved his food, so I mean that was important to him. Yeah, it was very important. Maybe you folks know this. I mean, I know my family does, but my dad had a great sense of humor, and he got through a lot of the hard times with his humor. And he was kind of he had an impish side to him at some time, you know. And I think to myself that. And my husband reminded me that there was a lot of joy in my father. There was a lot of joy. He shared that a lot with his grandchildren, and you could see that in the pictures, you know. And he loved children. He loved all his grandchildren so deeply. And, you know, he had never a problem with my mother taking foster infants in. He loved having those babies in our home. And, you know, he loved kids. And he was kind of a kid himself. There was a part of him that was very much a kid inside. And I enjoyed seeing that in him. You know, he had these incredible mealtime antics. Sunday morning, you know, after he would tickle our feet and throw cold washcloths on his kids to get us to get up, get us to the table, and then, you know, he would, eat his boiled egg and he'd whack it open with a knife, and he just did, you know, everything really big, and he'd blow up a bread bag and smash it, and, you know, crumbs would go flying all over the place, much to my mother's consternation. You know, but he did that kind of stuff to make us laugh, and you know, and he made faces. My girls will talk about some of the faces he made. And even on his and I don't want to say his deathbed, but in the hospital that last week, he made a couple of really good faces. He really did, you know. He really did. So, and I love that about him. I love the fact that he was fun. He was fun. He had a real fun side to him. One of the things that also I remember about him was his strength, and not just, you know, his spiritual strength, you know, that you heard from my brothers, and he indeed had that, but he was physically very strong. And my husband and I used to marvel at some of the things that he did, you know, and we thought, the man in his 80s lifting, and, you know, but he had a real sense of understanding of his body and what he could and couldn't do, so he never did anything that would put himself at risk. He rarely had accidents. He had a few accidents in his life, but who doesn't over 91 years, you know? So I was really impressed with his strength. And even at the very end, how strong he was. He was so strong laying in that bed. It took a long time for him to go because he was so strong. But, you know, that was neat. I've always thought a lot about him. You know, we were always close, he and I, but we grew closer as time went on. And I will, you know, miss having those Sunday conversations with him. But he showed care and concern to all of us. You know, when he was laying in bed in the hospital, he asked about, you know, my husband. He told us how much he loved us. He asked about, you know, kids and what was going on. I had a hip replacement in December, and he was very concerned about my other hip because I have to have that one replaced as well. And I just was amazed. And the thing I guess I want to say is that he was very loving. You know, I think as a child I thought that maybe he wasn't like that. I thought he was pretty stern and everything, but he was very, very loving. And I think he grew more tender in his years as he got older. And he was very loving. And I think this is what this is all about. We're here because he loved us. And, you know, we loved him. And I'm just forever grateful to God for having this amazing father, this godly man, you know. It was like, you know, like Christ on earth walking with us. I mean, that's how my dad kind of was, you know. And, you know, I know where he is now, and I'm very happy that he's there, but I definitely will miss him. Definitely will miss him so much. So, but thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being here, and thank you for letting me share a few fun memories about Dad. Thank you.
Pastor Sam and congregation family, the sympathy of Redeemer Reformed Presbyterian is with you. It is my privilege to work with the leadership in that congregation the last 20 months. My name is Ned Suffern, and I have a reflection in some of the pastoral calls. He told many stories about Indonesia, the great danger he had there. He carried guns with him. He had to defend his family. And then he told stories even further back to when he was in the Netherlands during the Nazi occupation. And he told me a story once of how they were never compliant. They were always in subtle ways resistant to the regime. And there was one time that there was a surprise inspection of his home, and there was a gun against the wall, which when the door opened and when the Nazis came crashing in, the door covered the gun. If they had shut the door and seen the gun there, they would have all been in big trouble. Adults sent off to concentration camps. And he ascribed protection to the living God. There were so many who died at that time, but he ascribed his own safety. God was part of his life and his family's life. He was always a hero in that sense to me, and also a hero of faith. He always encouraged me to be aware of the newcomer. You spoke of the love in the man. He was always encouraging me to think about those 3 kids in the front row who were brand new and newcomers. And that's a great thing for me to hear from a 91-year-old man. And so I was blessed. And the congregation was blessed to have Mr. Ewoud Dykshoorn among us these last months of his life.
I've got a scripture I'm going to read, but before I do, I just wanted to share one memory I have, many of them actually. But I noticed in the coffin that while he was laying there, they put his best hand forward. And if any of you guys know, his other hand tends to be missing the thumb. And, I remember that thumb very well, or the lack thereof, because if you haven't noticed, all of us Dijkshoorns are rather tall. It's because with Opa's pinches, you don't grow an inch. You grow a foot. And I always love that about Opa, even though, you run away and you're like, just always love the fact that he had that sense of humor where he was going to get you. If you weren't watching out, he was going to get you real good. But I'm going to read Psalms 90. Prayer of Moses, the man of God. Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. You return man to dust and say, return, O children of man. For 1,000 years in your sight are but as yesterday when it is past, or as a watch in the night. You sweep them away as with a flood. They are like a dream, like grass that is renewed in the morning. In the morning it flourishes and is renewed. In the evening it fades and withers. For we are brought to an end by your anger. By your wrath we are dismayed. You have set our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your presence. For all our days pass away under your wrath. We bring our years to an end like a sigh. The years of our life are 70, or even by reason of strength 80, or 90. Yet their span is but toil and trouble. They are soon gone, and we fly away. Who considers the power of your anger and your wrath according to the fear of you? So teach us to number our days, that we may get a heart of wisdom. Return, O Lord, how long? Have pity on your servants. Satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love, that we may rejoice and be glad in all our days. Make us glad for as many days as you have afflicted us, and for as many years as we have seen evil. Let your work be shown to your servants, and your glorious power to their children. Let the favor of the Lord our God be upon us, and establish the work of our hands upon us. Yes, establish the work of our hands.